start now. We've got enough to start. I know people will be jumping on as the chat goes along, but I want to thank you guys for joining us on United Philly Soccer Night. Tonight we have with us Emily McNesby, who plays at University of Maryland, also plays for Philadelphia Lone Star. Locally grew up in the area. Sean, you're from?
Joffon, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you just give a little intro about Emily, who you are, where you grew up playing, and your high school days, and how you ended up at University of Maryland.
Okay. Hi, I'm Emily. So I grew up in Chalfont, Pennsylvania, if anyone's ever heard of that. It's like by Doylestown-ish. I have 3 sisters, so like my whole life, me and all my sisters played soccer growing up. We played for the Ukrainian nationals when we were all first starting, and then I decided to leave the Ukrainian nationals in 6th grade and go to a team called FC Pennsylvania Strikers. It's not a club, so I don't know if any of you would have ever heard of it. It was just like one team, and it was for my specific age group. And so my coach, his like main goal was to get all of us girls on that team basically into college. Like his goal was to get us to play college soccer. So if you were on that team, you wanted to play. So we were a really good team. We were not ECNL, we were USYS. So we played at nationals and we played at a lot of tournaments, and that's how we got a lot of our exposure. So I never really went to any like ID camps to get recruited. I mostly just went to these games, tournaments, and coaches saw you there, and you would email back and forth, or they would communicate to you or through your coach to you. So that's just, I don't know what the rules are exactly now when it comes to recruiting. I know like they might have changed a little, but that's how we mostly did it. And then, so the way I ended up going to Maryland, so really young, when I was a freshman, my coach reached out to me and said that a coach reached out to her, which was the University of Maryland coach, and he was looking for this type of player. And it ended up being like someone who it was like a wing player, like a wide player. And she was like, okay, like I'll give you, like you and Emily can email her, she can visit or something. And so I visited, and this was before the coach had ever saw me play, but I went and visited so that I would be on his radar. And then he saw me play, and there was just like a super good connection. And then I ended up committing there. But then a week after I committed, he got fired, and he ended up going to another school. And so I committed to the other school, University of Tennessee, just because I was really confused and didn't know like what I should do at the time. And I was like panicked for no reason, which I think is something that a lot of people do when they're in the recruiting process. They like tend to panic or like make decisions like just quickly without even thinking. So that was definitely what I did. And then one day I was thinking to myself, I don't want to go to Tennessee. That's so far away. Like, I want to be local, like closer to my home at driving distance where I can go home for holidays all the time, stuff like that. So then I reached out to the Maryland coach. This was my junior year. I reached out to the Maryland coach and I was like, hi, like, do you have any interest in like having me come visit again and like coming back to the school potentially? And he was extremely welcoming, and so they showed me around, and then I ended up committing to Maryland again. So I decommitted from Tennessee back to Maryland. And I'm so glad that I did that because I'm so happy at Maryland and it's awesome. So yeah, that's just like a little bit of
So you played at Springside Chestnut Hill. So a lot of you guys here on the call live right in the area. You know, everybody here on this call plays and lives in the city of Philadelphia, so they're all familiar. We do trainings and practice at Springside Chestnut Hill. I believe you scored over 100 goals. It's about 125 you scored in your high school career?
I think it's a little less than that. I'm not even exactly sure, but
I know it's over 100, which is crazy impressive.
Yeah. I just remember, like, when I was a senior, I scored my 100th goal my senior year, but I remember I had, like, this thing on my wall, and I would write on it, like, every time, like, how many goals I had left, and I was like, oh my gosh, just, like, score the last one, because I had 2 goals left till 100, and it took me a few games to get it. I think I was just overthinking, but it took me a little while. But finally, I was like, okay, once I get 100, I just stopped counting, I guess, just because I was like, that was my goal, and I reached it, so I was like happy with that.
I guess it would be over 120 if we counted club goals too. I guess if you counted everything, it probably easily would be.
Yeah, definitely with
Probably
playing.
all of you somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen that are on the call, you guys want to open up the questions? We got a chat room thing here. If you want to type up a question, take some questions. Again, we're here with Emily McNesby. She plays for University of Maryland. Just finished up her sophomore year. She also plays for Philadelphia Lone Star Women. Big shout out for Coach Sean coming and joining us, showing support. So there's some coaching staff on. Also, a little background. Emily, she scored the biggest goal in Philadelphia Lone Star history. She scored a goal in our last game against Philly Fever that got us into the playoffs. A 26-minute header off the foot of Natalie Wilson. I believe it was a header, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And didn't we not even finish that game?
No. Well, now I built the story up for you. But, yeah, the second half got rained out. But
Well, it was good that we scored early then. So.
Yeah, so sometimes it happens, ladies. That's why sometimes and gentlemen on the call that always make your impact early and often. Don't rely on trying to get a goal in the 70th, 80th minute because that game got called at halftime. And you scored in the other game against Philly Fever too, right?
I think so, yeah. When it was
both those
their
games
grass
get rained
field.
out at halftime.
Yeah, that's so true, yeah.
So basically those goals got us into the playoffs for our first every year, which is pretty amazing for a team that had 0 women's program, 0 women's team, and we got into the playoffs our first year. So open it up to chat. If anybody wants to throw in their question in the chat room or unmute, you can go ahead and ask Emily any question you'd like. So if anybody like to unmute and ask a question, go right ahead. Maya, you always have questions. All right, we got one from Allie, one of my backs from my U12 team. Right. What are your goals for your future?
So I definitely want to play soccer as long as I can and at the highest level that I'm able to. So I'm definitely I have 2 more seasons left here at Maryland, and I graduated high school half a year early. So I started college in January of the year that I was supposed to be graduating. And so I have I'm going to be done college come the fall. So I want to try to either see how high of a level I can play or continue to get better so that I can play at a high level. So but I definitely want to keep playing soccer. I don't know what I would do without it. I definitely also want to just I like to play futsal a lot. I do that a lot in Philly with people who are older than me, but it's super fun and it's just a good way to keep soccer fun, because it gets a little serious sometimes. But yeah, so I definitely just want to keep.
Good with the futsal. All the teams on here that I coach, we do futsal throughout the winter, just small 5v5, 4v4.
Yeah.
Where it's just impact, touch. Well, the question was, how old were you when you started playing?
Oh, when I started playing, I was probably 3 years old. But I have an older sister who's a year older than me, so a lot of times she would start a sport, and then we would just be on the same team because my parents just wanted to put us together. But yeah, so I started playing when I was really young, and I was going to try out for my travel soccer team, the Ukrainian club, when I was younger, and I was super attached to my mom and attached to the hip, and I did not want to go try out. And so I ran over to her crying, and the coach of the team, who I had no idea who he was, came over to me, threw me over his shoulder, picked me up, and was like, "You're playing on this field," because my mom was about to just take me home. But he's like, "No, you're playing." And ever since then, he's like, "Look at where you are now." It's so funny because I still keep in touch with him, but he's like, "If I didn't force you to play, look at that." And I'm so glad that he did that because I just was not going, I was young and didn't want to go out of my comfort zone. But yeah, so.
Good question, Maya. From Allison, what are your favorite workout and drills? Some of your favorite workout and drills?
So I a lot of the time like to do shooting drills and stuff, but sometimes that's hard to do by yourself. So I like to do those where you just have cones in the corner and you just dribble a certain pattern and then finish. I also really like if you have a partner, so I always have my little sister do it with me. I put 2 cones next to each other, and then I'll shuffle to one cone and do a volley and shuffle to the other cone, do a volley, and you can switch what you do at the cone. So you can do 1-touch passing, 2-touch passing, like touches around the cone, things like that. And then at the end, I usually do like sprints for 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, like on those cones. So I think that's just like a good workout, minimal equipment, like if you have a sibling. If not, you can always just do like dribbling with the cones too, and like use 3 cones, do figure 8 dribbling, things like that. And then when it comes to just like working out and stuff, I really like to just go on long runs a lot of the time. I think it's just like nice to do that. And I mean, in a soccer game, you run so many miles, so it's just, yeah, it feels casual but like fun. And so, yeah, those I would say are my favorites.
What other sports did you play, if any?
I actually played basketball in high school, and I used to play soccer. I mean, I used to play softball and lacrosse. But yeah, I played basketball until my junior year of high school because I couldn't play my senior year since I graduated early. But I actually really enjoyed that, playing basketball. So yeah.
Good question, Maya. From Zaya, who is your player? Who is a soccer player you look up to?
That's a good question. I feel like I look up to a lot of players, but I really like Tobin Heath. She's probably one of my favorite players. I just think she's super awesome. I think she's such a great player, and she's super humble, like just, and then she's like a wing player, which I also like playing on the wing and stuff. So I think she's someone to look up to, a good role model, doesn't really cause any issues, and is just like, I feel like she's kind of like more low key than other people, but like super humble about what she does. So I really like her.
Good. From Tyrion, one of my U9 boys, what was your hardest game?
My hardest game. Well, I feel like the hardest games that we have, a lot of them are like in college when we're down, like, so I remember this year we played against Wisconsin and they ended up winning the, oh my gosh.
You got a scratch in there.
I see Esther. I'm dead. Hey. But yeah, I think so. This fall we played against Wisconsin, and it was our first game in the Big Ten, and we ended up losing, actually. But it was just extremely hard for our team, just like mentally, and for everyone, because we had thought so highly of like building up to the season, and previously, like the previous year, Wisconsin was like good, but not as good as they were this year. And so I think we just like all lost so much confidence in ourselves, but like we shouldn't have. And so I think that game was extremely hard, like mentally. And I think a lot of soccer games that are hard it is the mental aspect that is hard, because I really think that if you get down on yourself, it's really hard to get out of that in a game or something. So I would definitely say that game this year for me and my team, especially because we just lost a lot of our confidence.
Well, you did get to go against another Lone Star player out there. You guys is on Wisconsin. You know.
Yes, Aaron, yeah, goalkeeper.
Cool.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Good question from Finn. Do you feel like you are forfeiting valuable college experience by spending so much time playing? So that is a question out there. A lot of people wonder because you do spend a lot of time in the field, in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, I one of my biggest like concerns, I guess, when I was coming into college was like, how much free time will I have? Because that is like, as a college kid, you do want to know. And I honestly think I missed more things in high school than I do in college. I think those sacrifices in high school are what obviously get you to where you're at. But then once you're in college, you'll notice a lot of your friends are athletes. And so they also have to make sacrifices, miss things, like miss social, like hangouts, things like that. And so I definitely think that you don't miss as much as you think you will. So I don't think that's like something to worry about necessarily. I think you're definitely busy, but I think also the times, like when you're in college, I guess, like hanging out with people, I don't know personally because I have soccer a lot, but maybe it could get old. But since we aren't able to do that all the time, when we do do that, it makes it a lot better, more special. So I do not think that you're wasting any experiences or anything like that playing soccer. If anything, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have soccer. I feel like I wouldn't have much going on, because you really just have 2 classes, 3 classes a day, and then it's your homework, but it's a lot. You have a lot more time than you think, definitely.
Zai asked, what is the number you wear?
I wear number 2. I've worn number 2 my whole life. I even told my coach, I was like, when I was coming to Maryland, I was like, do you have number 2? Please tell me you have it. They're like, yes. I was like, okay, and then I committed. No, but yeah.
That was the big reason. If you got number 2 available, I'm going.
No, it really because I just wore it my whole life, because they didn't have when I was little, I was always the smallest one on my teams, because I was the youngest, because I played up with my sister, and I always wanted the smallest number, but they didn't have a number 1, so I was like, okay, I'll be number 2. And I've been that ever since.
Awesome.
Except not on Lone Star, which I'm a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll give you the 00 next year.
Whatever. No, it's fine.
Here's a question from Maya. Really good questions, Maya, by the way. How has staying at home changed how you practiced?
Yeah, so I'm lucky that I do have 3 sisters, 2 of which play soccer still. So a lot of times me and my siblings we don't always even do soccer stuff. We'll just work out sometimes, go on runs together, just make it fun. But I think we have a field near our house that we're able to have access to, luckily. So we usually just practice on that turf field, but it wasn't open the whole time. So we would just go in our front yard and just do little stuff with the ball. We would juggle all the time. We would say we're not going in the house until we get these amount of juggles, or we're not leaving to go here until we get this amount of juggles. And we're just trying to make the most of what we have, but it's definitely a lot harder. But if you just have a ball at your feet most of the time, it'll keep you in the rhythm of soccer and all that. So
good. Zoe wants to know, what was it like transitioning to college ball for you?
Yeah, so for me, actually, one of the big things was strength. So I feel like I'm one of the smaller girls on my team, and one of the biggest things was in high school. I know I think a lot of people are actually lifting more now, but when I was in high school, we never lifted weights or anything, which is crazy to me, because we lift weights in college at least 3 times a week. So that was one of the biggest things. And another huge thing was the speed of play. And you can't really get used to that until you're in it, if that makes sense. So the whole strength thing you can do on your own and work on your own before you go to college, but the speed of play is so much faster. And I never really knew, everyone would say that and I didn't know what they meant, but just your touches on the ball, it have to be so fast, or else someone will come on you or you'll lose the ball. And so that's just one of the biggest things to think about, is speed of play.
Good. Sai wants to know, what is your favorite thing about soccer?
My favorite thing about soccer is being on teams with different people and meeting all these new teammates. Lone Star, I just started playing for last year, and some of the girls are some of my close friends now, which is awesome, because the fact that you can meet so many new people through you guys like the same thing, and you can just bond with each other through that, and just you're with each other a lot of the time. So I think that's one of my favorite things about the game, because without your teammates, it's hard to get through.
Got another question. I love that every chat we do on these, Emily, have you ever gotten a red or a yellow card?
I have gotten yellow. I have not gotten red card. But yeah, I've gotten a few yellow cards in my life, and I think two of them were definitely for fouling someone. I think one time I might have gotten one for talking back to the ref or something like that, but don't do that. It's not good to do.
That's a good question. Why did you want to play for the coach that originally brought you to Maryland at first?
So, I really liked him as a person, and I think that's actually something that I shouldn't have, like, based my decision off of because I obviously realized that coaching changes happen, and so you can't choose a school for the coach. You have to choose the school for the school. And so the reason that I wanted to play for him too was because like he believed in me as a player and he like showed that through like offering me like and telling me what he had in mind for me. So I also like that too. But I definitely think that you shouldn't do that. Like of course you want to have a good relationship with your coach, definitely. Like you don't want to dislike your coach and you want to make sure that they have good morals and like want the best for you and believe in you, but there are a lot of coaches like that, especially if they're reaching out to you. So focus on the school more, I would definitely say.
Keep the questions coming in. I just want to have a little side conversation. So when we brought Emily on to play for Philadelphia Lone Star, we knew she was a forward, played really well at the position. You transitioned this year to playing a little bit of left back, and that was a shock when we had that conversation
Yeah.
a few months ago. How did that all start up? How did that get brought up at practice?
Yeah, so I can't even remember like how that happened because the way it worked was I was a forward my whole life and we had games this in August, I'm pretty sure, or September, in Georgia. And my coach just like came up to me and he's like, "So how do you feel about playing outside back?" And I was like I actually was excited because I've had a lot of people tell me that they think I would do well at an outside back position because I like to be on the wing and also I feel like I'm one of the more fit players on my team and I also like to get forward. So I guess my coach's strategy for me playing outside back is me getting forward a lot, which a lot of coaches tend to. I've heard a lot of coaches tend to put their forwards in the back because they have that attacking mentality. And so it was a shocker to me, but I really actually enjoy the position a lot. And I think it's a good way for me to like use the wing and also like get forward, and then if I need to get back and help, I definitely can. But I just think the biggest transition for me there was the defensive part because when you're a forward, like if you dive in or something like that, you have people to back you. But when you're a defender, you're the last line. And so I think that was a huge thing for me. I was like, oh, wait, there's no one else behind me. So, yeah, but I really like the outside back position and I hope I continue to play that. But
Definitely adds a lot of weight to you as a player too. Even when you want to go play at the next level, if you want to go to the professional levels, that just it's really a coach actually doing you a favor. If you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, here, the coach asked you to play a new position, you can add that onto your resume now that I can play left back.
Yeah, I know, I completely agree. And also, like sometimes in the Big Ten, a lot of the players are like bigger than I am, and so I think certain games, I wouldn't like match up well when I was at center forward with some defenders because like strength is not one of my best things that I have. Like I've been working at it, but still, but like on winger or at winger or like outside back, I think speed is a lot more important. And I think my coach did that for me to like show my good skills that I have. And I thought that was a lot better decision. But yeah, I hope to play that in the fall. And we had two spring games this spring and I played outside back both games, and then towards the end of our second game I went to like outside mid because we were down a goal, so he like had some more people push up. But yeah, I like where I'm at.
What do you think was your best goal?
um so the goal that like just comes right to mind was in high school. We were playing Penn Charter. I don't know if any of you guys were there, but like we had never beaten Penn Charter ever, like at the time. And I remember we got a free kick. The score was 0-0. It was a really even game. We got a free kick, and I took it and I just hit it like right in the top corner. It went right in the net. I started crying, like my coach started crying. We were like, what is happening? Because it was one of those things where like we were not expected to win. And then as soon as I scored, she made me play in the back. Like she was like, because we just played extra people in the back because we were like, oh my goodness. And then that was one of my favorite goals just because it was so emotional, like for me and all my teammates, and we were literally crying over it. So it was awesome.
Allie's got a good question. Who was your favorite player that you played against? Or you played with and played against? So it's kind of a two-part question. Favorite player you played with and favorite player you played against.
Okay. It's the same person for me because I've played against her and with her, but we actually played against her in Lone Star. Her name's Alyssa. She played for the Delaware team. I don't know if you remember her.
Oh, yeah, Poach.
Yeah, she's on my college team. And she is just such a phenomenal player. Like, just her athleticism just amazes me. And she's not someone you want on the other team. She's someone you want on your team. And I can say that because I've been on both ends of it.
Yes,
And and she's just awesome. Like, she can beat anyone off of just a touch, which amazes me because it's so much harder to like dribble and use your speed, but I've seen her just like single-handedly win us games because she just took a touch around someone and dribbled right by them. Like, it's insane. But yeah, so I would say her because she's a huge threat if she's not on your team and a huge asset if she is on your team.
Maybe Sean can confirm. I think she scored 4 goals on us in a half. That game where 4 goals in like 20 minutes. So a game we were winning 2-0 that we lost 4-2 and 4 goals off of one player. So that's just how crazy a game of football can be. So
Charlie, we don't talk about that game. We don't talk about that half. We don't talk about any of that.
What happens in Dover stays in Dover. We got about 10 minutes left on the chat. If anybody else wants to add any more questions, I still have to see a few more coming in. Good question from Maya. Maya, great questions, man. Really, really on the ball tonight. Were you always the best player on your team?
When I was like a lot younger, I would say yes. Like when I played for Yuki's, I was definitely like one of the better players on my team. So that's why I decided to leave because I wanted to see like what else was out there and like get a higher level. When I joined my club team, I think a lot of us were at a really similar level. Like a lot of girls on my team all went to college for soccer. Some of the colleges that people went to include UVA, St. John's, Vanderbilt, like really good schools. So I think that we all just were pretty equally good, and I think that was great for us because we pushed each other to be better, and we always were getting better with each other. So yeah.
I think you just named off some schools of players that were supposed to be on Lone Star this year too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Cam and Sierra.
Yeah. So what are some of your hobbies outside of sports?
I love cooking and baking. I think it's fun, and I love eating, so that also helps because I just eat what I make. I also do like just hanging out with my friends and my siblings. I definitely like to I'm a pretty relaxed person. I like to just hang out and yeah.
What's your go-to dish, Emily? Like if you're gonna make dinner for a team, all of us right here, and you want to impress us all, what's your go-to?
I would definitely make some form of pasta because I love pasta. It's my favorite food by far. Like I know that's pretty broad, but I like basically all pasta. So yeah.
Good question. Then from a Sean Mateo, what is your favorite college stadium that you played in so far?
That's a good question. I really liked Ohio State. I think that school is awesome, like school-wise. And their stadium's pretty cool. Trying to think if there was any other stadiums that were. I've heard from a lot of girls on my team that Purdue is really awesome, but I've never been there because we haven't played at their field since I've been at Maryland. So I also heard that. But yeah, I think Ohio State for me would definitely be the top that I went there and I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Good. Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining on. You guys can unmute real quick, and say hello to Emily, or say goodbye to Emily. We're going to wrap it up. It's about 8:30 now, so we were only going to do this for about a half an hour. So if everybody would like to unmute, say hello to Emily and say goodbye. Emily, thank you so much for taking out the time of your night to be with us.
Of course.
At Maryland, and wish you the best on the loop around for WBSL next year. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, but thank you guys all for asking really good questions and for being on this call.
thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys all have a good night, and we'll see you soon.